Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah for joining us on this week's An Nur the Light. Zhora Khan is a household name in Durban for her exceptional nasheed skills, but lesser known for her work in charity. We got to meet and spend some time with this woman of worth.
South African nasheed artists are known to be among some of the best, and they've earned numerous accolades for it. The female nasheed scene is as vibrant but lesser known. One woman who has continuously been putting it in the spotlight is Zhora Khan. Her history with praise singing started while still a young girl and has continued to this day.
I grew up with Mum, always singing praises, and for us at that time it wasn't a choice. It was a part of living at that time, because we lost Dad at a very early age, and in those days Mum only had a standard 6 education, so she became a madrasa apa, and we used to have things called mauluds, and that would generate an income for us, where Mum would be given something if she did a little function. And so with Mum, we always accompanied her. So singing was something that we grew up with, and I think it was a natural transgression.
Zhora Khan is an ex-educator and radio personality who became the first woman in South Africa to professionally record nasheeds under the guidance of the late Safi Siddiqui. She has launched 11 albums and continues to record new songs whenever the time allows.
I must be very honest that whatever I am today, the kind of content that I have today, and the repertoire that I have at the moment is only due to one person alone, and that is the late Janab Safi Siddiqui Sahab, who took me by the hand when he first heard me on local radio, and he took me along my journey of 25 years. And he has written every single kalam that I have. If it were not for Safi, the vocals of just going and doing the motions of singing or reciting is something anybody can do. But the love of it, the understanding of it, and the need of it was all inculcated by Janab Safi. If he gave you a kalam, he explained to you. He gave you that passion as a writer. This is what I want you to convey. And he was very, very particular with regards to the pronunciation, because I sing mostly in Urdu.
As one of the doyens of nasheeds in South Africa, Zora inspires both young and old. She's had her own TV show where she's showcased female artists, and Farhanaz Salim is one of the many who are impressed with their singing talent. Since then, Farhanaz has become a great inspiration to other younger singers.
We had the very young Farhanaz Salim there, and she's an up-and-coming Naat Khan, and it's with great pride that I bring her, because I introduced her to the Naat world. These are the generations to come. I think if you go back to being a baby, the first sweetest voice you've ever heard is that of a mother, is that of a lullaby, and why not? And I think there is that controversy about the sweetness of the voice, but these are the gifts and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a woman. And I think a softer, beautiful praise in a woman's voice touches the hearts of most people that listen to it.
Hafiza Suleiman is one of Zora's closest friends and an accomplished nasheed artist herself. Together they raise awareness and money for social welfare projects, such as this one being held today. These selfless acts endear her to her audience even more and propel Zora to do as much as she can.
The albums that I have from day one, they started off with a pledge to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. There was a little boy called Zishan, and he lived to 16, which they don't outlive. And he lived up to 21 because he wanted wheels, and I got him an electric wheelchair. And that was the start of the many, and you were chuckling and looking at the 10 Rand tickets. That was our first charity drive to get the wheelchair for muscular dystrophy. And so it became so that all the albums that I have, all 15, have always been given either to a disaster fund, or if the ladies are raising funds for a sick child, I would sell them outside of the venues and give them to the organizers. I have an income. Allah's given me Rozi. So this is for my Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's something I'd like to give back, because only people that have gone through very hard times and have come up the hard way realize that they have to give back to make the lives of others better.
The very nature of praise songs are meant to inspire, and Zora is an embodiment of the words that flow from her mouth. Those that listen to her are compelled to reflect on their own lives and the words of the Holy Quran, and in so doing, strive to be better versions of themselves.
Now there's a woman who has followed her passion, and look where it has taken her. Here today to talk more about following one's passion is Sister Narriman Richards. Assalamu alaikum, Narriman.
Wa alaikum salam, Maryam.
Narriman, how can a life coach help one unearth their passion and clarify their intentions to live it?
I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, Maryam, because this is actually very dear to my heart. This is how I unearthed my passion for life coaching. Because I approached a life coach. I was feeling stuck in my life, not sure which way, and also feeling called to something but not quite clear what that something was. And in my life coaching relationship, my coach asked very pertinent questions that got me thinking and helped me realize that this is something that I want to do. And getting clear on my intentions. I think we make intentions with everything, but we don't always follow through. One of the things that a life coach does is hold you accountable to your intentions, which means that from one coaching session to the next, you are actually held accountable. So you can't just be saying, I'd like to do this. There's like, how are we going to do this? And when we get to the next coaching session, so how did you do with actually actioning your intentions? So this is a very, very dear to my heart. And I wish everybody would actually just go and see a life coach and find their passion and live it.
So can we have the passion, the dream, and the day job?
The short answer, Mariam, is that we can have anything we want. But I think sometimes we sell ourselves short because we think that there's a mold that we should be fitting into. So for a very long time I had all of that, the day job, which was my profession. And when I started unearthing my passion, I started working towards making that a reality. And then seeing this dream come true in my head, and here we are today. I think, if anything, this is a testament to my own journey, that I came from one profession and saw my passion clearly and worked through my intentions, slowly but surely, to this point where I'm now a life coach and mentor.
What do we lose when we let our passion die inside of us?
I think we lose our purpose, because passion is something that's calling you to something greater than what you really know about. So you lose your purpose, because once you've unearthed your passion, you find your purpose. For me, unearthing my passion for coaching helped me find my purpose to help other women in areas that they are struggling. And so in the greater picture, I see now that I had a purpose all along, and my life's journey brought me to this point. So I think we lose the ability to live our purpose. And the thing is, it's a very scary thing to follow your dreams, to try and follow your passion. It's scary because the biggest thing that we fear is failure. But I'd rather fail and try again, or try something new, than not try at all.
I know it sounds easy when you say it, but sometimes it can actually be difficult to do. Shukran, Narriman, so much for giving us the motivation to get through it all. School dress codes sometimes prevents our children from wearing their religious attire. This is in the spotlight as our issue of the day.
Under a uniquely progressive constitution, South Africans are poised to freely practice their religious beliefs. But when viewed under the lens of the education dispensation, religious freedom becomes an extremely complex matter.
Okay, so Section 15 of the Constitution confers on everyone the right to freedom of religion, belief and opinion. Sections 9.3 and 9.4 prohibit discrimination on grounds, amongst others, religion, belief and culture. In particular, the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act was enacted specifically to prohibit such discrimination. And then our Constitutional Court has been very clear that the Constitution marks a break away from our history of intolerance and exclusion, and that the Constitution not only affirms diversity, but celebrates and protects it.
In recent times, the seemingly harmless headscarf has been at the center of controversy in schools, with educational institutions citing standard uniform policy as the reason for the prohibition of religious attire, calling to question a need to determine where constitutional rights can be realistically asserted.
The South African Schools Act gives every school governing body the discretion to adopt a code of conduct which will be observed by all learners in the school. Under the Schools Act, the state has also published national guidelines on school uniforms, and that leaves it to the discretion of the school governing body to adopt the uniform policy. The guidelines do say that the governing body should take into account the religious beliefs of the community that the school serves, and that if a particular attire, like a headscarf, forms part of a religious practice or an obligation, then it shouldn't be prohibited. But the guidelines are not mandatory. They're exactly what they purport to be. They are simply a guide to the governing body. And so every governing body, in conjunction with the parents and learners and teachers at the school, have to formulate a code of conduct and a uniform policy that will apply to the school.
In 2003, the National Policy on Religion and Education was drafted and implemented. In recognition and protection of our varying faith traditions, the policy takes on an accommodative stance, allowing students to don religious attire with reasonable freedom.
The Bill of Rights is applicable to all South Africans and all associations in the country. So it does not only bind the state, it binds also associations which would be deemed independent schools. Even though individuals have the right to religious practice, the Constitution also gives the right for associations or bodies to come together and to practice their religious practices. As a result, what we have found is that there are many schools in South Africa of different persuasions, of religious persuasions, of philosophical persuasions, and then parents have the choice to actually elect to send their children to particular schools that are aligned to their family values and to their own personal values as a family or individually.
Private schools working from a specific religious ethos offer parents the freedom to educate their young ones within the religious framework of their choice and remain relatively unbound by government regulation. It is within this sphere that challenging dilemmas are commonplace.
We as ISASA encourage families to find schools that are aligned to their values, whatever those values may be, and wherever those values may be promoted, either in independent schools or public schools. So religious, yes, you do have a right to practice your religious practice, but like all rights in the Constitution, there is a limitation in terms of laws of general applications under Section 36 of the South African Constitution.
I think that even when it comes to private schools, there is this prohibition on discrimination, and all schools have to comply with it. Whether it means accommodating a headscarf or prayer times, schools have to now be more accommodating. And I think the discussion needs to happen. It's not necessarily that we have to accommodate it, but schools have to be more open to these religious practices and understanding what they mean when they prohibit it.
Whatever the faith, it is certain that religious garments are external symbols of the piety housed in the heart of the believer. But even within the capacity of an unbiased constitution, religious freedom is limited, and it is useful to temper one's expectations to what is justifiable.
Controversial but necessary, methinks, as well as some very valid points raised. Next up, we're off to find out what hidden treasures the province of KwaZulu-Natal is hiding from us.
Knowing our history is important if we are to move forward together in South Africa. It is for this purpose that we have museums where we are able to learn more of those who fought for our freedom. One such person is Chief Albert Luthuli.
This is the home of Chief Luthuli. It's actually his original home, which was built in 1927. Part of our work is actually to maintain and to preserve his home, apart from also then promoting his legacy, his life works, his philosophy, in terms of what he stood for. It's also a place where you've had your Baba Nelson Mandela visit, your Baba Oliver Reginald Tambo, and then also you've had your Robert F. Kennedy from the United States, and they also visited here. Dr. King's wife, Mrs. Coretta King, visited this home also.
President Nelson Mandela said, Chief Albert Luthuli was a man of universal wisdom and exceptional integrity, a man of deep compassion, motivated into political action by his deep Christian commitment.
People should visit because they need to come and learn not only about our recent past, but about a specific man who held a view in as far as our non-racial democracy we find today. He believed that the first port of call is actually through non-conflict engagement. From a point of view of children, I think also it's important for us as parents to expose actually our children to such role models.
The museum is open daily from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. and entrance is free. This is definitely somewhere you should be taking your kids, as well as to learn more about an incredible human being. Smaller towns always have interesting places where visitors can get their food. Take this place for instance, a butcher that is well known for its cooked meats. It is a firm favorite amongst the locals who frequent it for supplies as well as food.
Marhaba means is basically a family-owned butchery, a halal family-owned butchery. And on the side we do a grill. Basically, if you buy the meat from us, we grill it for you as well. We've got a livestock company, and a lot of people were asking us to go into a butchery business because they wanted good quality meat. And basically, that's how we started.
How much more fresh can meat be when it comes straight off the butcher's block and onto the grill? Add to this famous secret sauce and you have a winning combination right here.
Basically, the takeaway started 2 years after the butchery, and it basically there was a need for good halal takeaway meat. Basically, we do grilling. We don't do any curries and things like that. We only do grilling in the sense being that we do steaks, we do chops, we do lamb legs, we do sausages and things like that, yes. The takeaway has grown tremendously from the time we've started. We've started doing deliveries now because of the demand that we're getting. And our specialty is basically steaks and chips, which is rum steak and chips in our own basting sauce, our secret sauce. That is our specialty.
Simple, wholesome, yet good food is what you get when stopping for a bite to eat. Come hungry, as portions are often slightly bigger than what you're used to. 100% halal has never looked this good. Beaches are after all what people come to Durban for, but they can often get very crowded. After traveling all this way, you can just take a drive a little further to the Kwadukuza region where golden sand beaches await. Lather on some sunscreen and enjoy a day of fun in the sun. The beaches often have trained lifeguards on duty who are standing by should the need arise. Pack in your ball games or just a good book to read. It is time out after all, and the only work you should be doing is on a tan. Don't forget to pack some ice for the cooler box, and if in need of good food, you can just ring up the butcher with a good food.
I've said it 100 times before, and I will say it a whole lot more. We truly live in a beautiful and blessed country. South Africa, I love you. It's parting time, but we'll meet again. Same time, same place. From me, Mara Mokwanda, Salang Hantle. Assalamu alaikum.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
I don't really like to dwell on the past and reminisce about all the pain that I went through. Now I'm grown and I understand that you did what you had to bring me back on the right track. Now I'm here while you're never going back, and I just wanna say I love you. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, thanks for showing me the way. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, please forgive my mistakes, and inshallah I will never go astray. And I'm begging you, please don't take your love away. Ya Allah, don't take your love away. Don't take your love away, Ya Allah. Which of your Lord's favors did you deny? Every time I hear that, tears fill my eyes. Done so many things wrong in my life. Wish I could turn back the hands of time, but I can't do that, so I won't bother thinking about what I coulda, woulda, shoulda done different. I'm not prepared for the day of resurrection. I think not, so I made the intention that I'm gonna change my life, that's a fact. Don't wanna be the one that's held back on judgment day from the gates of Jannah. So every single night I'ma cry to Allah to forgive each sin and every bad deed I committed in my life. Indeed there's many, and believe if I had a penny for everyone I'd be a millionaire already. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, thanks for showing me the way. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, please forgive my mistakes, and inshallah I will never go astray. And I'm begging you, please don't take your love away. Ya Allah. Now I wake up in the AM just before the break of dawn, wipe the sleep from my eyes and give out a big yawn. Do my ablution, get a move on. Pray my salah before the rise of the sun, and after salah I put my hands up and say, thank you Allah for giving me another day. Alhamdulillah for every move that I make. Alhamdulillah for every breath that I take. And I pray for myself and my daughter who's my life. Allah protect her throughout her whole life. And I pray for my mother, please don't let her cry. Every time she sheds a tear I feel like I'ma die. And I pray for my father, my brothers and my sister, every single member of my family I don't miss none. I pray that you help every one of your ummah, especially the strugglers, the ones who are getting bombed. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, thanks for showing me the way. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, please forgive my mistakes, and inshallah I will never go astray. And I'm begging you, please don't take your love away. Ya Allah. And I start every day, shed a tear for his sake. I feel refreshed now, my soul feels awake. Headphones in, Quran reciting in my ear. Shaitan knows that he's got to stay well clear. As I walk down the streets, all I can see, the beautiful creations, birds in the trees, singing their songs, amazing melodies. Sun shining, wind blowing, can't you see? You gotta give credit to the maker. If you don't, nobody else is gonna save you from the hellfire. Is that what you desire? If not, repent for your sins and he'll guide you.